Next up, we have MEGADO Gold, and joining me today is Michael Gumley. He is the CEO and the Managing Director. Michael, good to see you. Welcome to the Virtual Gold Conference.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kerry. It's nice to see you again.
Well, it's 6 months almost to the day since MEGADO Gold listed on the ASX. And ladies and gentlemen, the ASX code, write this down, is M for mother, MEG. And you guys are operating in Ethiopia. So first up, can you just give a quick overview of the project to our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, of course. So we listed on the 27th of October last year. So we're at just over 6 months. And we're in Ethiopia, mostly in the south. We have a premium land position in southern Oromia with over 500 square kilometers there, and also a smaller tenement in the west. And we listed and we were drilling within a month. So I think what we've kind of done as a company, we had set ourselves up well, having had both knowing the country extremely well. I have a long history of working there, as well as our executive director, Dr. Chris Bowden, who worked and lived in Ethiopia for 5 years and found a 2 million ounce deposit a few years ago. And so we came back, we put together the land package, and coronavirus, though it meant that we listed a little bit later than we thought, it gave us the chance to do a lot more work in the library. And so we found that on the land that we have, that quite a lot of historical trenching and drilling had happened in the past, some 20 years ago. So that gave us some drill ready targets as soon as we had listed on the stock exchange. And so, we're ambitious and we're not wasting the money, but we're certainly not sitting on it either. And we really want to kind of prove our thesis that we're in the next gold district in Africa, if not the world.
Wow, that's a big claim.
I'm not afraid of it.
Well, good to hear. And you said you know Ethiopia quite well. You've worked in Ethiopia. What's it like as a jurisdiction?
Well, it's extremely friendly to mining, and the Prime Minister Abiy, had made mining one of its strategic industries. Since he's come to power a few years ago, he's kind of made Ethiopia a far more open a place to do business. There's a lot more foreign direct investment going in there. It's one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, at more than 8% a year over the last decade.
What?
And what he's been doing in particular is opening up finance. He's opening up telecoms and mining. So for us, we're really at an opportune kind of inflection point for the Ethiopian economy, because there's more than 100 million people there, and he knows that he needs to get jobs for them. They need to be able to feed them, and companies like us are going in there, and they know that the resources are there. They know that they're standing on millions and millions of ounces, hopefully, of gold and other resources. But they need companies like ours to come in there and really tell them what they've got.
So is Ethiopia known for its mineralization? It's one of those ones where it just hasn't come across my radar very much. I mean, I know that you and I spoke 6 months ago, just before the listing. And again, I was blown away by the fact that Ethiopia has been growing 8% a year. But in terms of mineralization, and when you were working and living out there, was that the time that you started to understand that actually there's a big resource out here that no one's really tapped into?
Well, they've had gold there for thousands of years. So they've found Ethiopian gold in the Egyptian pyramids.
Wow.
In the with the pharaohs. But as I said just briefly, it's been mostly a closed economy. It hasn't really had the same, hasn't really welcomed the type of direct investment you've seen in, say, West Africa or Southern Africa, which is why there's very little that's been written about it or spoken about it. And it's quite a new phenomenon that they're really opening up their economy to get the type of investment that that they need in the mineral sector. So they think that there's one of the biggest tantalum mines resources there. There's quite a lot of VMS, gold and copper in the north. As I said, Chris found a 2 million ounce deposit out west, but we're one of just a handful of companies who are active in the country right now. And we were able to handpick the land that we have. So what we did was we pursued the same strategy Chris did to find the Dish Mountain, the 2 million ounce deposit. Started with spectral targets, went to the library, found out what was there previously, sent the guys down there. We've been able to reassemble Chris's team, the same team he used to work the Dish Mountain deposit. And they've been on the ground and finding additional targets and really helping progress our work.
So because one of the things I was going to ask you was, with COVID, has it made it a little bit difficult because obviously you can't travel backwards and forwards, but if you've got Chris has worked with this team before, there's a certain amount of trust with these guys that they know what they're doing, and all you're doing is directing them from some of the data you're finding. Is that how it's working? Yeah, well,
exactly. There's a level of trust there with Chris's team, and there's a level of expertise there as well. Right? He knows that these are some of the better geologists with whom he's worked anywhere in the world, and Chris has worked everywhere. So there's that. We have a residential exploration manager who is based in the country and working directly with Chris. So Chris's knowledge from the past is helping them be able to kind of identify some of the structural mineralization that he saw when he was at Dish, and be able to then kind of help direct the team based on the data that's coming back from Ethiopia. And then we have more than a dozen Ethiopian geologists, all of whom worked with Chris. They liked working with Chris, and they're guys who Chris already had, and just basically called them up and said, guys, we've got this land in Ethiopia, are you in? And they're all coming back to work with us.
What happened to Dish Mountain? Did that get bought by somebody, or what's? It was
an Egyptian private equity company that owned it, and then they sold it to I think it's called Allied. It's had a couple of owners since Chris, but
okay. So was that the last project Chris worked on before coming to MEGADO?
He was in Korea in between that. And now he's in Queensland and has a project out there, but working with us.
Right.
So on our board.
So what are the next steps for MEGADO? Because as we said right at the start of this, you listed 6 months ago, and as you said to me, you're not sitting on the money. Are you well funded? You're not wasting the money either. You're putting it into the ground, which is what it's all about. We've got to find the gold.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we're coming into this quarter with about 3.9 million in cash. We have completed 2 drilling programs, small drilling programs. So, the first one was, just over 1,500 meters, and then this next one was about 2,000 meters. And we're just starting a third program. It's looking so prospective that we're actually bringing in a drill rig. Do you have a second? Can I show you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll just share my screen. We didn't really talk about this one when we've spoken in the past.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Something's happened. There's a great big blue line on there.
Yeah, let me try that again. Sorry, Kerry.
That's all right. It's called technology.
Well, here's a close-up of Jakarta. So Jakarta is really, that's where we're really focusing attention over these next couple of months. So you look at the GT target there, which had historical trenching like 47 meters at just over 1.5 grams, including one intercepted 25 at 2.5 grams. So, and then the contact target had historical trenching of 2 meters at 11.5 grams. So we were able to, once we raised the money, we started drilling at Babicho, which is another program in the north. Then we came here to Jakarta and had drill-ready projects, targets, which we've been able to not only start, but they're looking so prospective that we are going to bring in another rig for the GT target, because some of what we're seeing at the contact targets, we want to increase. We had an initial program of just over 1,500 meters. We want to double that, and we also want to bring in another rig for the GT target, because what they're seeing is visible copper. They're seeing tourmaline. They're seeing chalcopyrites and other, like the type of mineralization is similar. It's almost identical to what they had at Legadembe and Sakaro, which is just 5 kilometers to the north, and that produced 3 million ounces.
Oh, okay.
So we think that we're in the Point Piper of Ethiopian of this Ethiopian gold district, and we don't, as I said, we don't want to be sitting on the money. We really want to be putting it in the ground and learning about what we have. And we've got a team that's able to do it. We've got the technical expertise to be able to do it. And we're in an area where we really have strong community support. So we're set up well for the next quarter to really kind of advance activities quite aggressively and find out really what we're sitting on.
And you mentioned before that you've done 2 small drill programs, one of 1,500 and another one of 2,000 meters. Have you got the results back from those? Just explain to us what's going on with that.
We expect to have a raft of results in May through Babicho. We'll have Babicho drilling, Babicho trenching. We'll have the first results out of Jakarta, both drilling and trenching. And we're also going to have some trenching. We've started a new target in the north called the Dragon target. And there we expect to have those results probably in June, but there in the quartz is showing visible gold. So we're seeing visible gold out of those trenches and the rock chip samples in the northern part of Jakarta, which is even closer to Sakaro. And we're also seeing, extremely prospective mineralization in the first drilling programs we've seen in the southern part at the contact target and the granodiorite target.
Michael, in terms of where this project is it close to any sort of infrastructure? Is it difficult to get to? Just give us an idea, because as investors, it's kind of like, well, where is this target? And that's not the first part of the question. Second part is, how did you decide that this was one that would go into the portfolio for MEGADO Gold?
So we started what Chris had done. I think I mentioned it. He used spectral target satellite technology to kind of identify where there were where to essentially start. And using that satellite technology, it kind of identified some areas that were very similar to what he saw at Dish. And then what happened was there were these an American company some 20 or just over 20 years ago that did some work there, and a lot of the results that what I just mentioned, they coincided with the spectral targets. So that told us where we should at least be trying to secure land. It so happened that the land was available, and with that, with that, we were able to quickly do the applications, secure the land, and then start work. So that's kind of how we handpicked it. And we started work at Babicho and Chicada, but we have other tenements as well where there hasn't been that same historical work to give us those drill-ready targets. However, there is, they have the similar spectral. What they're seeing with the satellite is very similar to what we have in Chicada and Babicho.
Okay, so what can investors, like, we've got a lot of people listening to this today, Michael. Plenty of companies out there, as you know. Yes. What do you think is the standout for MEGADO Gold? Why do you think right now is a really good time for investors to check out MEGADO Gold? I've thrown this one on him, ladies and gentlemen. There was no pre-planning. Poor bloke. No pre-planning. The reason that I would look at MEGADO Gold is because we're in an area where they've never really had modern exploration techniques applied to it. And yet everything that we have seen up until now is exactly what Chris expected to see. Right. So what he's been able to, he's been able to identify both where the land is, like where the spectral targets are, then go and send the team there and start the drilling program and what they're seeing as the rocks in the drill core, in the rocks coming out of the trenches and the like, is exactly what he predicted. And we have a team of experts on the ground who are able to execute this plan. So, and we have the money to be able to go and actually implement it. So why MEGADO? I say we've got premium land, we've got an expert team, and we've got a plan that we're executing it swiftly to prove Chris's thesis, and right now everything he said has come true. When you say Chris's thesis, if we could just wrap up with if you could just put it into a nice neat little ball, what is Chris's thesis? He found Dish Mountain, that was 2 million ounces. He's done it before. He thinks that Ethiopia is very, very prospective for metals, but specifically gold, does he? And his thesis is this on the same structure, or he just...
Yeah, this is the next gold district.
Right, well, that was said with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, but it's as simple as that. Like that's how bullish we are on the area. Every geologist who's gone down there has felt the same thing, that they look at the land, cannot believe that it's never been touched, can't believe that it was available, and can't believe then that we've been able to set up so quickly and go execute this project. Because in other parts of Africa or the world, really, in 6 months you've done nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And then in our first 6 months, we're on our third drilling program, we're on our third trenching program, we've got more than a dozen geologists, we've got a plan, we're executing that plan, and everything we're seeing so far is looking really, really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Gumley from MEGADO Gold. This is a man on a mission with a big smile on his face. He says, we know we've got something. It's been absolutely delightful to have a chat with you today. And as I said at the start, ladies and gentlemen, the ASX code is MEG, MEGADO Gold. Not sitting on their laurels, not sitting on the money, not wasting any shareholder money, but getting on with the job. Thanks for joining us today, Michael.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure.